and welcome to Inside the UPSL presented by TVE Max. My name is Pep Fernandez. These two guys cause more trouble than anyone else I know. Dennis Pope and Art Iftikhari. Real troublemakers, especially on social media, which we will get to and I know you want to talk about. But welcome to the show. We're going to talk about the biggest news in the UPSL. We'll talk with the biggest newsmakers inside the UPSL. But first things first, breaking news. I got to read it off my phone because this is a very big deal and I don't want to get it wrong. If you're a business and you're looking for free advertising, you want to listen up. So we have an awesome deal for 5 businesses. We're offering a free month of advertising for an entire month for you. It could be you out there right now. That's 4 30-second spots and a sponsorship of an entire segment. But you got to act now. The email is, and we had to change the old one from Dennis Pope Loves Cats. It's a new one. It's a new one, so write this down. Sales at TVE Max. That's sales at TVEmax.com if you want free advertising. There's no hook. There's no pyramid scheme. There's no sign up now. We're going to charge you interest. It's free. That's all. All right, welcome to Inside the UPSL presented by TVE Max. Guys, we got to get to the biggest news. I know it's going to be a little bit later in the show, but I want to go right off the top with social media because you guys are big-time troublemakers, causing waves, getting the Twitterverse all worked up. So, Pope, what's going on right now on Twitter? Because you guys have a worldly famous podcast that people tune into. Before this big show, the video show, you guys have a podcast.
That's true. We do the podcast every other Monday night covering the UPSL. And this last weekend, we got to talking a little bit, and people like that, and people got upset.
Is your phone blowing up right now?
Yeah, right now.
It's
right.
Some angry listener right now.
Right now. So, we just had to deal with it and do the best we can. There's some rumors out there that are floating around that people want to talk about, people want to know about. And so we did our best to sort of talk about it the night that it happened, that those rumors broke. And again, there's people on both sides. So, we definitely heard from the other side about it.
You guys were first on the scene, the first responders to this.
No, we were actually a little late to the game.
It happened Monday. You guys were on Monday night.
Monday night, technically in terms of producing a show, sure.
But you guys are the show of record for the UPSL.
No, that's this show now, right?
Well, yeah.
Right. No, this is the show of record now. See? I got more.
You're blowing up, man. Yeah. Pope's phone has been blowing up all evening long. It's usually just angry Twitter people out there.
Pretty much.
But Art, why is everyone so angry at you and Pope right now?
Well, I don't know if I should be included in them being angry at me.
He's backpedaling faster than Deion Sanders series.
I guess guilty by association, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
But if there's a bus right here, he'd throw me in front of it.
Right. All right. Troublemakers. Let's get to the big news. We're talking about the U.S. Open Cup. We kind of lead off every show right off the top segment here with U.S. Open Cup news. We've got qualifying round 3 in the books. We've got 5 UPSL teams still in the hunt. And it looks like, Art, we could have more on the horizon as well, right?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, I feel like there's been a little bit of a change here and there. It's almost like I felt like the consensus was the teams that won the round 3 qualifying games would move on to the tournament proper.
Can you turn your phone off? There's a lot of angry people on the streets. Go ahead,
It felt like winning round 3 would mean a spot in the 2019 first round, but things have changed a bit. But, UPSL teams are still alive, and, America Soccer Club's looking good. Even also from the club from St.Louis, Maritza had to travel all the way to Michigan, and a 0-0 tie. 1 on penalties. 6-5. A lot of penalties.
Right.
Very exciting. Of course, I'm sure the people watching would have wanted to see some goals, but it's been entertaining so far. Santa Ana wins. Were able to pull one out against Buena Park FC. They had to play most of that game with 10 men, so they fought hard, and they were the better team, even though they were down a man.
And of course, did we mention Florida Soccer Soldiers and their big 6-0 victory over Hurricane? That's the most goals that they've scored in the U.S. Open Cup so far. Just a dominant victory for Florida Soccer Soldiers, and they move on. We talked about it on the podcast, about the potential matchups going forward, whether or not these teams move on to the first round proper, or whether U.S. Soccer creates another round of qualifying. to further parse down these teams, because not only is it the UPSL teams involved, there's other teams still
Sure.
playing in this tournament. So there's still a number of amateur teams still playing, and I think right now the UPSL stands a chance of still having 8 teams in the tournament. We're going to have at least 5 in the tournament.
And you said even 6, right? Because we got a couple going head-to-head.
Right, well, yeah, right. That's the
Yeah.
Cal FC, Cal United
Yeah.
FC 2 game. They're still yet to play. We'll get to that. But of the games still remaining, there's still 4 teams involved. One of them still an all-UPSL matchup.
Sure.
The other game's Oakland Stompers versus Academica SC. And then, of course, GAM United FC. Their game got moved because of freezing pitch conditions in the Denver area on the 17th or 18th. And that game's going to actually be this Sunday, December 2nd.
Yeah,
So-
Is that going to be any better? I haven't looked at the Denver forecast, but you know what I mean? It's Denver.
I think they're
this time of
trying to
year.
get it in, you know.
Yeah.
And the other 2 games still yet to have dates set for those, and so those could still be pushed to next year. It looks likely that the Cal FC Cal United game will get pushed to next year. So the third round has definitely been the longest so far in terms of taking the time to play the games. Although there was some extended games in the third round or the first round previous to this.
Yeah.
But weather takes precedence in certain situations. You can't play in these conditions, without injuring players or the threat of injuring players. So you just have to do the best and make the best call you can. And hopefully these games will get played.
Speaking of these games getting played, when Art's not teaming up with you to fight off soccer hooligans right and left, he's doing play-by-play. He's the best guy in the business right now, Art Eftekari. You went up to Thousand Oaks.
I did.
Who didn't pay the bill? Is Edison, PG&E, who's mad at us? I mean, what's going on? Because the game up there, you were calling it, right?
Yes,
and then
I
the lights
was.
went out. Like, literally, the lights went out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what happened?
I mean, well, like I said on the podcast, and I just want to make this clear, the moment it happened, I made sure to say that this was a game that had to be called the night the lights went out in Thousand Oaks. Okay, now move past that. But it was Cal FC hosting Cal United FC 2. It was an awesome game. Cal FC was up 2-0 after about 15 minutes. Both goals scored by Irving Parra. I mean, awesome goals from him as well. And then Cal United fights back. Goals from Chris Clutie and also Christian Gordillo. They call him El Flaquillo. Well, that's what that's what he told me. That's what he told me. But like I said, it was 2-2, and in about the 88th minute, the lights go out.
Now, did they flicker off, or did they just go
boom?
They just went out.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, and so of course
In the 88th minute, so like you're all the match is
we were I was waiting for extra
there.
time, possibly
Yeah.
penalties, and
Yeah.
then lights go out and people are just waiting to see what will happen. And eventually, it was announced that because of a city ordinance over there, that the lights, would not be able to be put back on. I mean, it was going to take a while to get them back on anyways. And they had to be off
fire
by
back
10:30 at night. Of course.
Which is not uncommon, right? If you live near a residential area, it's not like, oh man, that's weird. It's not uncommon. But
I mean, it was played at, California Lutheran University. You would like to have thought that it wouldn't be a problem.
yes.
But, it's unfortunate because that game was extremely entertaining. I mean, Cal United had plenty of chances to take the lead in the second half, but Cal FC's keeper, Kevin Marquez, making save after save, just lights out.
Is there a video stream of this somewhere with you on the call?
Yeah, it's on my Cujo.
Because I want to hear like when the lights go out what you said. What did you say?
I think I just said, and the lights just went out.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, right.
It's been real. It's been a great match.
When I saw it happening, the feed where I was watching was coming a little in and out, and so at one moment I was watching the game and it kind of blipped a little bit, and all of a sudden it was black. I reset it and I looked and I reset it again.
You're like, oh, it's
it
my
was just
computer.
dark, right? And it was just dark, and I finally started to dawn on me. Did the lights in the stadium turn on? Because I could see some little white lights flickering in the backgrounds. I was like, you got to be kidding me! But sure enough, and I talked to Art. I said, what happened? He's like, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. Some people, think that moments like this are the magic of the U.S. Open Cup. But I think, if anything, it just puts more of a eyeball on this next game whenever they decide to take place. I think it's going to be awesome. And rumor has it they're going to move the game to Orange County now. It's not going to be hosted in Thousand Oaks again.
Yeah, that's from what I've heard through certain sources. Yeah, I believe it will be in Orange County. And one thing also that could be considered unfortunate. Well, initially it was believed that the game would be suspended and then just continued
In the 88th minute?
Continued in the 88th minute.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's been decided that it will be basically this result is null and void, if that's what you want to call it, and they'll have to replay the game.
That was first reported by Josh Hackela at the Cup.us on Monday. He reported that the U.S. Soccer decided to replay the game and essentially play a second leg of this thing, which is just bizarre. It's one of those things that you never really see happen. I can't recall a time when there's been a game played almost entirely and it's been tied at the end and they decide, well, let's do it again.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
a redo, right? Yeah. It's just a redo. So, yeah, it's going to be fun to see when that game is played and where it gets played and if Art gets to do the call again.
I'm hoping to. I think it can be done.
They should have finished in the dark. They should have just played in the dark. Someone probably would have scored because you can't see the ball. Like whoever can just put it on net's going to score. Probably would have went viral. Probably been like on ESPN Sports Center, right?
Maybe.
Or everyone could have just got their smartphones and turned the flashlight and just go like that. I mean, I don't understand what the problem was.
Everyone was there. Yeah. Art was there. The teams were there. The fans were there.
I'm trying to think in the FIFA law book if it says anything about the field needing to be lit to play, and I don't think it does.
Play in the dark. That would have been huge.
So,
that would have been awesome.
All
right, shifting gears now to the first UPSL Youth Academy division in Southern California. Pope, what do you know about that?
Club Latino Unidas. Mm-hmm. They're based in Thousand Oaks area, and they're going to be the first youth academy, a group of teams affiliated with the UPSL to bring the U8 to U12 to U16 age groups and sort of start to build that system for UPSL clubs as an affiliate feeder, league, so to speak. So it's a place where UPSL teams in Southern California can put their youth teams, and teams that are already there can build relationships with UPSL teams to further promote their players.
Which makes sense, Art, because even if you look at different sports, there's always these feeder systems, and they start them young, and they kind of put them on this path to end up at a certain place. So it makes sense for the UPSL to do something like this at the youth level. Yeah,
I mean, this is something that needs to continue. I mean, of course, I think we're going to be hearing about more youth academies, and this is what you need. This is what the UPSL needs, and it's a good direction that they're going in. And like you said, just having these academies to be, feed players to other UPSL teams, whether it's at the Pro Premier Championship or the League One level. I mean, this is exactly what everyone wants.
It's a pre-existing league. It's an affiliation with this league, and this is the sort of thing that the league hopes to do around the country, is build relationships with youth academies and start to build, a brighter future for their players from basically cradle to, on up, through, the Masters division out in the UPSL, which is the over 30s, the over 40s, the over 50s. So, the UPSL's plan is to have those youth players be UPSL players if possible, if they don't go on to bigger and better things, to be UPSL players for life, essentially. So, I think it's a bold step and the right step right now.
And from a youth academy to the expansion boom, it's like people in the mid-1800s heading out west to find gold. There's expansion teams popping up everywhere right now, including Armada Academy FC. But that's just one of them, right, Pope?
Yeah, there's been a lot lately. There's been 7 or 8 in the last 2 weeks that have just joined the UPSL alone, highlighted by Armada Academy. They're affiliated with Armada FC down there in Jacksonville. They're their own youth academy, right? And Jacksonville Armada FC operates separately, but they've created an affiliation, and so players who go through the academy do end up with the big team. And so this is a step in that process. This is essentially a U20 team that they've created as the top of the academy, right? So that those players have a place to play when they're coming back from college or getting ready to go to college. So this is something that's a new initiative for them that they have been talking about internally with Armada for a while. Armada ownership has actually met with the UPSL before, so there's a pre-existing thing happening already, and this was just the right fit for that club. They already have, 2 somewhat professional teams under their Armada FC net already, and so they were looking for that step between the academy and the professional ranks, and this fits the bill.
Art, anything else to add on these expansion teams?
Just adding to the Armada. I always remember them playing in the NASL, the North American Soccer League,
Yeah.
Jacksonville Armada. They played in that league, from 2015 to 2017, and each year, there's two years in a row they made it to the fourth round of the U.S. Open Cup, and they have decent attendance. And this is a name that you're very familiar with if you pay attention to soccer at all levels in the United States. So I think it's great to hear about their academy joining the being affiliated with the UPSL.
This is big too for North Florida. This is the first major team in North Florida for the league, and so I think this is the start of bigger things for North Florida.
A new frontier.
UPSL. Also, not to mention the other teams that have joined the league, like Levi United FC. They're out of East Carolina area. They're a brand new club, but they have a good reputation there, and they're going to be an important part of the Mid-Atlantic Conference here, getting set for the spring. There's also Arlington FC out of Texas. They're part of the new Central Conference Championship tier, so the second division. They're going to start to build up that so that there's promotion and relegation in Texas. Yesterday, there was Rebels FC, which is in the third tier out here in Southern California. As the Southern California divisions start to build that promotion relegation structure even further. And then just today was FC Sharp Keys, another team out of Fort Worth, Texas. They're also going to probably start in that second tier championship tier in Texas.
Which I know Art was a big fan of their logo. Right?
Yes.
Right?
Of course.
He's a big bodybuilder, and they have a big barbell. in
Art's
their
a big
logo.
bodybuilder?
Yeah, check him out. Check him out. Did you see that? Did you
Of course
see
he
that?
is. All right, when we come back, Michael Friedman, the owner of Cal FC. A lot of questions for Michael as he's going to join us live on Inside the UPSL presented by TVE Max next. And welcome back inside the UPSL presented by TVE Max. Cal FC owner Michael Friedman is going to join us in just a moment. But first, some highlights with the lights on of Cal FC this past weekend. Is Art's voice on the call? We got Hung, the producer, back here. He's not? He's not. I'm bummed out. But let's check out the highlights anyway. Here's some Cal FC action. welcome back live inside the studio. Now join us on the phone, Cal FC owner Michael Friedman. And Cal FC has returned to pro development action in the UPSL this season, competing again in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Michael, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Hey, doing great, guys. Nice to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, we really appreciate you checking in with us. And, of course, Dennis Pope over here, Art Iftikhari. Art called your game where the lights went out, which was nuts and bizarre.
I got to take ownership on that. I didn't do a thorough job understanding that there's satellite dishes that shut the lights off. Unlike our other home field, which is Calabasas High School, we have control of the lights there. So I got to take the blame for that.
Well, technology can be a very funny thing. I've lost many of things on the internet, somewhere between here and a satellite dish out in space, I'm sure. But we appreciate you joining us here on the show. And Cal FC, Michael, one of the best histories of amateur success. And now you guys are back in action this fall for another competitive season, now in the UPSL. Why the return now? And talk about the success you guys have enjoyed.
Well, thanks for acknowledging that. I appreciate it. Cal FC was put on ice for a little while just because the mix of players and coaches wasn't appropriate, and we weren't finding the successes that we've had in the past. So we put it on ice for a little while, 2 years. I had a heart issue back in November of 2017, and it sidelined me from life for a little while. And during that time, I had an opportunity to plot out, the return of Cal FC, and that started with a phone call back in December of 2017 to Keith Costigan. Keith being really one of the architects of the players that were brought to the 2012 team that had so much success. And he and I conversed for a while, but in the meantime, I went to the AGM, got to know Jan again and meet all the different team owners in the February 2018 meeting. And then come in April, Keith and I came to terms on a contract on how he would run the team. And pretty soon after that, we started practices in June, acquiring players. Late June, we registered for the UPSL. And in July, we registered for the Open Cup through the month of August. We put our squad together and did some trials against some other teams. And after that, we started Claim, which is, I think the first game was September 5th. And for the most part, we had a good little run. And we feel like we're back and we're doing well. We're on a roll again.
And Michael, probably most importantly, we're glad to hear you're feeling well enough now, to bring it back and and be owner of Cal FC and put him back in competition. And speaking of Keith Costigan from Fox Soccer, I believe I know Keith back from his Cal State Bakersfield days. I believe he was an assistant up there with the Roadrunners, but that's a different story. But Michael, what have you thought about Keith's managerial style in his first year as the head coach of Cal FC?
Well, first of all, Keith is an exceptional individual. He's an amazing person, both on and off the field. He has an excellent way with the players, the ability to communicate what he's trying to get done on the field and off the field is done with minimal words and the most effectiveness that I've ever seen any coach execute. He's a pro up and down the street, and I'm just lucky to have him. As his managerial style, he's firm on what he wants out of the players. As the players often play with each other and against each other on many different teams, and he brings that into the Cal FC model, as he knows he can get the most out of every player as they compete with each other on the field together. And he just does the best job I've seen in years, bringing out the best in the players. That makes Cal FC successful.
Hey, Michael, this is Dennis. I had a question. You guys recently played Galaxy 2 and won that game 2-1. Are you guys able to exercise the connections that Keith has to be able to make games happen like that?
Well, thanks for bringing that up. We've played Galaxy a few different times, the two teams, before the USL and after the USL. We're lucky enough to have an MLS team so close that's willing to play us in the USL team. Of course, Keith's black book of numbers and acquaintances runs deep, and he does open up a lot of doors, both for the team and for players. So, yes, Keith, he's a scout for U.S. Soccer, amongst other positions that he holds in the soccer community, and he's just always out and about. So, for any time that we're looking for a game, or if there's a group out there that wants to play us, Keith has really been a focal point and a catalyst for that.
We're talking with Michael Friedman. He is the owner of Cal FC, live here on Inside the UPSL, presented by TVE Max. Now, Michael, Art Eftikari over here was the play-by-play guy for your game this past weekend. And Art's very excited to do, I guess you call it the rematch. Talk about your thoughts on the decision to play the game in full again, as opposed to potentially picking up the game in the 88th minute with the score tied at 2. You're just going to basically start back at square one and start over again. What are your thoughts on that decision?
Well, first let's talk about the game, if you don't mind.
Sure.
What an incredible game! What an incredible game! I mean, for us to get 2 goals on a team that's only had 1 goal scored against them, virtually in all competitions, and to be up 2 against them was an amazing feeling. But I knew that Cal United had it in them to come back. So at the 80th minute, when the lights went out, my heart sunk, knowing pretty much what was going on with the satellite dishes, and because I figured that one out quickly, and I would hope to pick up the game and finish it that night. And luckily, we weren't able to do that. The rules of the U.S. Open Cup are very straightforward, and it says if you don't complete the game, that it must be played in its entirety, and I respect that. So let's go at it again. We're working on a field in a time to play them. Both of our teams have commitments that we need to fulfill in the month of December, and we expect to get that game scheduled as soon as we possibly can.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question, Michael, was there a date or maybe like some sort of a window where you guys were hoping to sneak that game in?
Well, Cal United has thrown out some dates, and we have some dates in mind. Nothing's really meshed as of right now. Cal United is fulfilling their postseason obligations and taking care of some of those games that we both missed during the Open Cup run, and filling that out, and they're giving themselves, their players, some time off with the family, so we respect that. We're looking to play the game as quickly as possible, and we're just trying to find an appropriate time to do it. It seems like during the holiday season it's a little hit and miss, but we hope to have a date fairly soon.
Okay, well, I was hoping for a Christmas Day game, but I guess that's not going to happen. I'm just messing with you, Michael, but Art over here has a question.
Michael, in the first half, you guys are up 2-0, both goals scored by Erwin Para. Clearly, he was the best player for you guys in the first half. I know you guys got a great squad, plenty of talented players, a lot of experience, but for me, your goalkeeper, Kevin Marquez, was the best player on the field for you guys in the second half. What do you have to say about Kevin Marquez?
After the game, I texted with him briefly, and I praised him on how well he played and how big he came up, and he really highlighted himself. He made himself look really good, for our team and potentially future teams. Kevin just did an outstanding job that night, and the end line, the end score line could have been much differently if he hadn't had such a great game.
Well, Michael, we really appreciate the time, continued success, continued good health as well, and we appreciate you joining us on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. It was nice to be here, and all the best to you and the UPSL.
All right, that's Cal FC owner Michael Friedman. Join us live on the show. When we come back, the My Cujo Goals of the Week on Inside the UPSL presented by TVE Max. And we are back on Inside the UPSL presented by TV Max. You know what really impressed me is if someone scored a goal like in the pitch dark. It could have happened. We almost happened with the satellites going down, like satellites controlling lights.
Yeah.
Craziness, right?
Only in Cal Lutheran Stadium.
Yeah, and they play football games there. Would probably go deep into the night as well. You think, well, anyways. But we did not see a goal in the dark. But we do have some pretty good goals, right? Let's check out the My Cujo goals of the week.
Back.
And those are the My Cujo goals of the week. Some good ones to pick from. But the polling places are closed, right? We closed all the ballots. I tried to go down to my local church and vote. They said, no, it's already been closed for the week. But you can vote on Twitter. Normally you go on Twitter.
Right.
It's another good reason to follow the UPSL
soccer.
on all the social media platforms. But the voting is done for this week. Pope, we have a winner.
That is correct. Ricardo Zuniga from Terrell FC. He won the contest with a great shot from free kick from nearly halfway.
Yeah.
It curved into the upper 90. It looked like you said the keeper didn't see it coming. Maybe the wind caught it at the last minute, but a fantastic goal. And it's definitely had 71% of the votes this last week, so it ran away with the voting even.
A landslide.
Yeah, people saw it and they were like, that's it, that's the goal. But the best part about this is the UPSL's Goal of the Week competition has wrapped up for the fall season, so there were 8 winners. We're going to break that down into 2 polls, so the first 4 weeks and the second 4 weeks, and then the top 4 vote getters from those 2 polls will go into a final poll in which we'll determine Goal of the Year.
Okay.
A lot of polls.
Right, so over the next 2 weeks, look for that. We'll create the videos and then we'll create the polls. So the first week will be the 2 polls and then we'll move on to the next poll. And then also for UPSL teams in the playoffs, those streaming their games, they post their goals and then we'll do a playoff UPSL My Cujo Goal of the Playoffs. So 2 contests, Goal of the Year coming up, which will be an additional prize for those potentially those teams that have already won. And then teams that are in the playoffs, they'll have the opportunity to win a Goal of the Playoffs prize, which will probably be increased if I can talk my Cujo into it. So,
Art, did you get all that? You weren't taking notes or anything. I wanted you to write it down or something so you could remember all this.
Up here.
Like a steel trap. He doesn't forget a thing.
That doesn't.
So we're going to have a goal of the season, a goal of the year, and then we'd also have like the top goal of the playoffs
That's correct.
as
That's
well.
right.
So a lot for you guys to get involved. Again, follow UPSL on all the social media platforms, but on Twitter. And then what's the hashtag if they want to hashtag it as well as voting in the poll mechanism?
UPSL My Cujo GOTW for Goal of the Week. So UPSL My Cujo GOTW.
Look at Art just looking all smart over there.
He knows it by heart already.
You can't spell smart without Art, right? That's what I've always said.
Well, I love the hashtag. Just got to add that in there.
Okay,
love the hashtag.
You can't spell smart without art.
That's correct.
It is right. You're absolutely correct.
When we come back, what do we have next? Is it top headlines or
That's
like
right.
big
We're
news?
going to talk more news.
More news when we come back here on Inside the UPSL presented by TVE Max. And we are back on Inside the UPSL, presented by TVE Max. Now, we're going to make a long trip. We're going coast to coast. I mean, it's not like Dennis Pope going from Riverside to Anchorage, Alaska long, but it's still pretty long as we're going to go East Coast all the way to the West Coast. Art, let's start with one of your favorite teams, the Florida Soccer Soldiers, who are on a roll right now.
Yeah, they are. They're unbeaten in the Florida South Division. I mean, 10 wins, no losses, no ties, 100% record, and I believe they just defeated Miami Sun.
That's right.
That was a big one, right?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're having a great season. Right now they are the only unbeaten team in the Florida South Division, so gotta like what they're getting done. I mean, they just can't be beat right now, and like I said, love the team name and really want to watch them live on my Cujo if given the opportunity.
Watch it. You should be calling those games. Let's fly you out to Florida.
Well, that would be awesome.
You're the voice. You're the face of the UPSL,
Right?
Pope.
Yeah, he needs to be all over the place. That was the game that everybody was looking forward to, is the Miami Sun Florida Soccer Soldiers, because at the time it was Soccer Soldiers 9-0 versus Sun 10-0. And so all season long they were kind of...
That was the game, a collision course, right?
And now I think Sun FC only has one game to play. Soldiers have 2 games still in hand, but it looks like things are sort of finalized. I don't think anything else is going to change in that division. And to be honest with you, at the rate that Soldiers is going right now, unbeaten in league, killing it in the U.S. Open Cup, I think they're, moving into a place where they're one of the elite, if not the elite team in the UPSL.
You could be right. In the entire UPSL. Now we go from the Soccer Soldiers in the Florida South Division to the Savannah Clovers FC. I don't know if we've talked about these guys yet. It's about time.
Right.
In the Mid-Atlantic South Division.
Yeah, they've had some ups and downs this year. They lost to Soda City earlier in the year, but they came back around and beat them this last week to move back into first position in the Mid-Atlantic South Division. So it's a big win for them. They still got one game to play against San Lee FC, which is currently the 3rd team in that division, so it's still a big game.
Yeah.
They still need it to finish first in that division, but I think it's a manageable game, even though it's on the road. They already have some experience. They know what they're going to expect against San Lee, so I think Clovers right now, they're probably still the favorite to win at this point.
You still like them, Art, in that division?
Clovers, yeah. I mean, I think they definitely are in position to win. The question now is, it's going to be, the situation now is a test of nerves.
Yeah.
The pressure is all on Savannah Clovers.
That's right.
And if they slip up, it might come back to haunt them. So, but this is a situation you want to be in. You want to control your own destiny. You don't want to have to say, okay, we got to win and we need someone to help us there, or we need someone to win by this many goals. So, yeah, they're looking good. And, of course, Soda City has been one of my teams to keep up with this season. But, Savannah Clovers, they're looking good.
Yes, Clover's got a real big scoring forward, Henry Bain up front, who does a lot of the dirty work for them in terms of being the one who turns the ball over first thing first up front. And so they have the pieces. I think, like you said, it'll be a test of nerves to see if they can finish it out.
Man, if Gam Time played the Soccer Soldiers, I think Art over here would be on cloud 9. Let's go to Texas and the Heart Division. And how about Inocentes FC and Dallas Elite FC going down to the wire here? Art, let me start with you first. I mean, who do you like in that division?
When it's Inocentes and Dallas Elite, this is what's known as El Clásico. I mean, it doesn't get any more exciting than this over in Texas. I mean, these are 2 awesome teams. It's tough. I mean, Dallas Elite won 2-0, earlier in November. So right now, I'd like to say that they're the team I'd say right now that they're the team to beat. But in this kind of game, it's a rivalry, it's a derby. Lots of times you just say, forget about the points, forget about the records. It's
El Clásico, man.
Just a toss-up.
Yeah.
This will set up the 8-team playoff that they have in the Central Conference. Each of the 3 division champions will host a first-round game. The top second-place team will also host a game. And then you'll see the other 2 second-place teams and then 2 other third-place teams play in this playoff. So this sort of sets up the seeding for all of this. And in that division, if Inocentes wins out, of course, they win that division, and it kind of sets up the domino effect as it goes. But it's a massive game this weekend, right? That's set up for this weekend. Inocentes is going to play Dallas Elite one more time. And so that is, El Clásico. That is the thing that people will have their eyes on there.
In Colorado, Gam Time has another U.S. Open Cup game as a 3rd round of qualifying because the freezing temperatures. I think we talked about it off the top of the show. Taking on FC Denver, I believe it is coming up this weekend. You still love Gam Time. I know it's a U.S. Open Cup game. Do you like him in this match?
I do. I think they'll get it done. Like I've been saying before, I want that scarf that says Gam Time. It would look.
You're gonna need one for this. It's freezing out
probably
there.
more than one, but I think a Gam Time scarf would look awesome, right around here in this setup.
Yeah.
If they're watching, remember, don't forget, put that on the to-do list.
That's on Art's Christmas list, right? So yeah, the game has been moved to this Sunday. It's going to be played in Denver. Hopefully the weather's better and they can get the full 90 in plus overtime and potentially kicks. It's going to be, the cracking goal of the season in Colorado. UPSL versus Colorado Premier League. It's sort of an ideological battle there in Colorado for the adult soccer scene, and it'll be, just the build-up for it is even better because they didn't play. So
Yeah.
there's more behind it now, more anticipation, more promotion for the game, and I think giving us another opportunity to talk about it is awesome. And I think that it'll be a tough task because FC Denver is, the top amateur team right now in the state of Colorado. I think that is pretty much an objective fact right now. So for GAM to win, it would be a big-time upset.
It could happen.
It could
That's why
happen.
they play the games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about, speaking of anticipation, like huge matches. We were all building up to this, San Juan FC, Boise, right? The game, but it was kind of lopsided, Art, right?
5-1.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't get, I guess, of course it could get more lopsided, but 5-1, just a dominant victory. Right now, if you're a fan of the Boise Cutthroats Football Club, or, if you're one of the players or anyone in that organization, right now you're looking at San Juan FC saying, what do we have to do to beat this team in the big games?
This has been the season of San Juan for sure. They've played, I think, now 5 times this season, and San Juan's won all but one, and including the important ones in the U.S. Open Cup and this one, which is the Mountain Conference title game. This one was a home game for San Juan. They did play it indoors, and it was on Mike Cujo, so you were able to see it happen. It just looked like Boise Cutthroats run out of gas a little bit at the end of the season. It wasn't nearly the kind of game that they had played against San Juan to this point. They looked a little flat.
All right, let's go to Northern California. Are they in the future? Are they in the playoffs already?
Almost. They're getting there. They're close as anybody else.
In Northern California, so was it like the North 1 versus the South 2 and vice versa?
Right. They have 2 divisions there in the North. They both have 5 or 6 teams in them apiece. And so the North division's already completed. The South Division still has a week to play. There's still a possibility of Real San Jose sneaking into that second spot in the South, and so that's why they play the games this weekend, because that could happen still. But as it stands right now, it looks like Jaza, Redwood City, would match up against, which is the number 1 team from the South. They'll play Sporting, Napa Sporting, the number 2 team from the North, and then Western Nevada Coyotes is the number 1 team from there. They'll play either Stompers or Real San Jose, whoever ends up in that 2 spot. So exciting stuff still going on in the Wild West, and then they'll start their playoffs and get to 1 champion.
So when all the dust settles, Art, who's the top in the Wild West division over there?
Right now, I'm going to go with Nevada Coyotes. They seem to be the one of the best teams. I mean, you could also talk about Jaza, Redwood City. They had a decent run, I believe, in U.S. Open Cup qualifying, but I'm going with the Coyotes.
All right, and here in Southern California, big match coming up. Santa Ana Winds and San Diego Premier Pros, right? And it's we got some Winds guys in the office. It's very tense in here. I don't know if you guys can feel it, but it's very tense, very stressful today in the office.
It's always stressful in here. What are you talking about?
But even more so. But Pope, that's a big one because that could be a potential playoff spot we're talking about, right?
Yeah, they need this victory. Put it simply, they need to go on the road. They need to win in San Diego to secure that playoff spot. Right now, there's still some movement happening in the SoCal divisions. So every point is going to be essential right now, just like it is at any point. But this is the last opportunity for them to earn points this year, and so they need it. Right now they sit in the 3rd spot in the South Division, and it's going to be 3 teams out of the South and 3 teams out of the North, and if they don't win this game, then they run the risk. They run the risk of missing out, which would be, for a team that's still alive in the U.S. Open Cup, not something that, anybody wants to see, I don't think. So, yeah, Winds needs this victory, and San Diego has proven a tough place to play for them already. They went down there and they lost to Gremio earlier this season, so it's going to be difficult no matter how they slice it.
Well, I think if Santa Ana Winds gets down in this match, Hung over here, who's very tech savvy, Hung, listen, you need to hack the satellites. If they're losing late in the match, if Santa Ana Winds is down, hack the satellites. We'll start over.
Right? It's got to be a night game, of course. Won't do much good in the day.
Yes,
right?
That's true. Art, who do you like in this one?
The thing is, San Diego is tough at home. they're going to be really tough to beat. I'm sure they'll frustrate Santa Ana at times, but I see the Winds coming out on top.
We do have to mention, though, before we get off the show, the two teams that have qualified for promotion from the championship division. In the north, there's LA-10 FC, the team that Duncan Bociccio, and we had here a couple weeks ago he's the captain of. They've earned promotion from the SoCal North Division. They'll play in that same division with LA Wolves here come the springtime. And then out of the South Division is City Legends FC out of Paris. Out our way in the Inland Empire. They, their first season in the league, and they went almost unbeaten. I think they have one loss on the year, but they've earned promotion out of the South as well. So congratulations to them.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal, right? To get to the top.
And, and that's what the UPSL is all about, is promotion relegation, making sure that teams find their level. So.
All right, when we come back, we got breaking news on All-Stars.
Maybe
some All-Star news, like if you want to be an All-Star, like Art over here, right? Were you an All-Star when you played? You probably were. You're too humble. He wouldn't say if he was. He's very humble and smart, as we found out. So we'll be right back inside the UPSL presented by TVE Max. And welcome back to Inside the UPSL presented by TVE Max. We're wrapping things up, but one more reminder, free advertising on this show. You can sponsor an entire segment for free. I feel like a late night infomercial salesman, but it's free. There's no strings attached. It's free. But you gotta email us, sales@tvemax.com. That's the email address. Hit us up and say, I want some of that free advertising on my favorite show inside the UPSL.
Why wouldn't you want free advertising?
That's the thing. Why would you turn it down? Art got a famous website. He's going to buy it all up once it's all not free anymore.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the cool deal going on. So the UPSL is going to bring in, I guess, like the top players, what we'd consider all-stars, Pope, for a special combine. I just saw it on Twitter, so the news is out there now, but recently, I think, earlier today it was released.
So,
what's this all about?
It's been talked about for the last couple of days. We're trying to release this information out there. The UPSL is starting an all-star combine. It's going to be hosted the second weekend of February. I believe it's the 8th, 9th, and 10th of February here in Southern California in Lake Forest, California Sports Complex. Hosted by Paul Caligiuri, the UPSL's Director of Player Development. He's bringing his resources to bear on this, his contacts with scouts and teams and clubs, and the idea is to bring the best players from the UPSL together to get eyeballs on them. So provide the opportunity, allow them space to play, competitive games against one another so teams get an idea rather than just running through them through drills of what they look like in competition. So we're hoping, the league is hoping, that teams send their best players to this, and it'll be an avenue for which they can build connections to go forward. It's a pretty simple concept, really. It's just going to, logistically, it might be kind of a headache, getting all those players into Southern California
Yeah.
for that weekend. But, if everybody commits to it, it could be a grand thing for the league.
Yeah.
So it needs that participation from people in the league.
Yeah, like you were saying, it could be difficult to get everyone in the same place at the same time. But Art, I mean, if you're a UPSL star, this is an opportunity where you find a way, right? You want to get out here to Southern California.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it'll be fun. It'll be something worth checking out. That's all I could say.
I'm anxious to see which of the UPSL MVP shows. We've had 3, the last 3 seasons. Paulo Cardozo, will he be there? Will Kyle O'Brien be there? Will Braden Andrick be there from Milwaukee Bavarian? Who's going to come? I know that some teams from the East Coast have already committed. Teams like International Soccer Club out of New Hampshire have already committed players. New Jersey Teamsters have already committed players. So it's happening. Teams are involved. They're getting excited about this. And this is an opportunity. This is what the players want. They want to be seen by these higher ups at these clubs. So this provides them the opportunity. It's going to be great. I think it's really going to be really cool.
I got it right here. So February 8th, 9th, and 10th. If you're not following, again, UPSL Soccer on Twitter, check it out because all the details is there. Who made the fancy graphic?
Oh, who else?
Was it? Oh, wait, two. I thought you were going to take credit for it for a second, Pope.
No, I'm more gracious than that.
You're like, who else?
This guy with 2 thumbs.
You're like,
no, that's my boy Hong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good job. All right. Is that a wrap?
Is that the show?
That's a show, man.
Wow.
That's a good show. Again, thanks to Michael Friedman, owner of Cal FC, for joining us live on the show. And again, follow on Twitter because we're going to have the Mike Cujo goal of the year,
That's right.
playoff goal, all kinds of goals. So, and Art, he's got it all up there. He didn't have to
Steel
take
traps.
For Dennis Pope, Art F. Dakari, my name is Pep Fernandez. We'll see you next time on Inside the UPSL, presented by TVE.